Welcome to another RMSO Roundtable drive. We're in the Mogollon Rim area. Got Derek, Jenny, and Kelly. We have just come up from the deserts down in the Tonto Basin, and now we're on the Mogollon Rim. It's a part of the rim that we have not been to yet. I apologize about all the dead bugs on my windshield, but as this is the kind of day it's been, the window is completely clean this morning. But we're in an area of these Mogollon Monster sightings, Arizona, one of Arizona's Bigfoot, and I just feel like there's a potential for a road crossing in this area, so we're gonna film this drive. One of the big things that we have discovered on this expedition is where the water's drying up, where the water is reliable. And it's amazing when you start comparing the Bigfoot sighting in the area. They line up with the creeks that are reliable water sources that run all year. So what it tells us on the Mogollon Rim, if you want to find Bigfoot, you need to be looking for the water sources, because that's where the sightings are happening. Out in the Pine area and the Strawberry area, we found several freshwater springs. They pool up like a small pond, so that's potentially their year-round water source, and possibly the reason why there's Bigfoot sightings there too. And of course there's elk everywhere. There's not an inch of this Mogollon area that we haven't come across elk.
Saw whitetail, saw mule deer, saw elk, and all sorts of different type of cats got. I'm seeing cats, but they're here.
And they're thick. There's a lot of bobcat and a lot of mountain lion by the signs that we've been finding as far as their scat and their footprints.
Obviously lots of bear sign too.
You realize this road that we're on takes us from Roosevelt Lake all the way up to above Christopher Creek.
Christopher Creek's one of the Bigfoot sighting areas with a dependable source of water.
So we're going to be on about 100 miles of dirt road.
Dirt Road Roundtable.
Yeah, just off to the left of us, a red-tailed hawk landed right on the side of the road, catching himself some dinner.
We do more of these roundtable drives than we do podcasts or just those roundtables where we sit at a table at home or at a cabin, because we like to actually show you guys what we're talking about. I mean, you guys are here with us. I mean, I think these are much more exciting than a podcast. I hope you viewers that are into podcasts and stuff, I hope you appreciate these roundtable drives, getting to see the larger scale of the area. I mean, our hikes that are 5 to 7 miles long, you guys are only getting to see 5 to 7 miles of a certain Bigfoot sighting area, but when we throw these cameras on the dash, you guys are going to get to see dozens and hundreds of miles of the area. And I mean, and on a podcast, is there ever going to be even a slim chance you're going to watch a Bigfoot walk behind the people in the background?
In their living room.
So there's always that potential during one of our driving roundtables. You guys are going to see a road crossing Bigfoot, or maybe one off to the side of the road. I mean, I know.
No green screens with us, man. It's legit shit.
I know Bigfoot sightings are like hitting the lotto. They're really rare, but as long as we're here in the area, there's always that slim chance.
Some of this road seems to be paved, which is really, really nice.
It is beat to crap, though.
Oh, whoops. I spoke too soon, sorry.
I still consider it unimproved.
Just makes us feel at home.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, this road's beat up. I'm having to weave all over it to try and avoid potholes.
There's some pinion.
For those of you that think I'm driving too fast, I've been doing consistently 10 under the speed limit on this road. The speed limit's 35 and I've been doing 20 to 25. So I am trying to keep it slow, because even though we're doing a roundtable drive, we're still trying to spot for animals and Bigfoot, and we're just winging it right now. We don't have a spot that we're actually going to. If we see a cool place to hike, you know, we'll take off on a hike. We've hit pretty much all of our destination points this week as far as hiking into Bigfoot sighting areas. And we're also exploring for future Bigfoot expeditions. You know, next time we come back, where do we really want to be? And we're starting to narrow it down, the places that we want to be. We're hitting the time of day where animals really start to move.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Just before the sun's going down, as it's going down, that's when they start
blue jay,
to
wasn't
move.
Oh, yeah. Right in front of the camera.
3 of them just went cheeking it through.
They weren't jays, they were bluebirds.
See, look at the ground cover here. Look at the color. That's kind of the color I was more thinking. It's a lot lighter, especially when you see it in the sun.
Yeah, that's probably the color of the
Yeah.
Mogollon Monster that everybody
Yeah.
keeps referring to. Because, yeah, if you're that color, you're just going to fade away into
You're
the
gonna fade
background.
away. Especially once you stop and you get back into any of these trees at all, you're gone. You're just going to disappear. And I don't mean legitimately disappear. You're going to blend in.
Yeah, I don't
Thought I'd throw that
think
out there.
Derek believes in cloaking. I personally don't believe in cloaking. You know, there's no other animal on the planet that we know of that can cloak or dimension and all that.
Correct.
So that's why I don't buy it. I would have to witness it myself, and I haven't seen a Bigfoot clearly in the open enough to make the statements that I've seen a Bigfoot. So, I mean, I need to see a Bigfoot, and I need to see it cloaked to believe in that stuff.
Physical, flesh and blood, non-mystical animal.
And this is coming from a guy that's had an up-and-close Bigfoot sighting. It was close enough Derek could have reached out and touched it. So, why didn't that Bigfoot cloak in and out or gate in and out? It walked up to you and kept walking past you and walked until you couldn't see it anymore. So
Yep.
why didn't he cloak the whole 2-3 minutes that you observed it? Because they don't, right? How long do you estimate your sighting took place that you actually observed it?
It was a good few minutes because we watched it probably for a good probably 600 yards, 700 yards before we couldn't actually see it anymore, where it disappeared out into the field.
And you saw it for what, a couple hundred yards before it passed you?
Before it even got to us. It was a couple hundred yards before it even got to us.
See, Derek
walked right past us and then across and up into a field. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good few, 500-600 yards probably.
Derek and Chris both saw it coming towards them, and they hid down in a ditch from it, and it walked towards them and past the ditch they were hiding in, and then off into the orchard before it disappeared. So it may not have even known that they were there as it walked past. So it would have no need to cloak if it didn't know you guys were there, Derek.
Honestly, if I had any idea what it was, I don't know if we would have ditched it right then and there. I mean, at first, the first thoughts was somebody was coming, ditch it. I mean, it was in the middle of the night. We're 10 years old, for heaven's sakes. And
you were wanting to hide. You were wanting to hide from an adult that late at night.
Absolutely, and that's what got us to ditch it in the first place. But by the time we had realized what the heck it was, there's no going back. I mean, it put us into a state of we froze. I mean, I remember just freezing and not wanting to move. You know what I mean? Kind of like the whole deer in the headlight. If I don't move, they won't see me. If I don't move, they won't see me type mentality. It's just kind of instinctual. It just froze me. God, I remember it.
I mean, at what point did you realize it wasn't a person and it was a creature?
It's when I kind of scooted out and actually looked, because I mean, it could have. I figured they might have turned or something, and we're sitting there for nothing. So I just kind of eased out, and when I looked off to our right, that's when it had just gone underneath a street light, and I caught just the total silhouette of it, and that's what's still burned in my mind right now, is just the silhouette of this thing with that light behind it, and just seeing the shaggy hair going down its head, down its arms, and it just froze me.
So you were frozen in fear. You were that.
Yeah, I mean, it just totally. Realization, that's not a man coming at us. That's not a person coming at us.
I think that's what turned Derek into a Bigfoot enthusiast, is that sighting. That's probably one of the reasons he's created RMSO with us, is because of that moment in his life.
Absolutely.
My turning point is my grandfather telling me about his Bigfoot sighting as a child, and then after hearing about his and becoming a Bigfoot enthusiast, I soon found out that there was many family members that have seen Bigfoot in Utah and Idaho. My grandfather's sighting was in Washington at Mount St. Helens in the 30s. So yeah, I turned into a Bigfoot enthusiast as a kid, was reading everything I could get my hands on, and wasn't really, I mean, I was like a twice a year camping for a weekend in a Bigfoot sighting area was the extent of my Bigfooting up until we got serious about it in adulthood. When my kids got big enough to be independent and I started needing to get a hobby of my own, I dug up Bigfooting, and we've been doing it since. I know Jenny's grandfather in World War II used to tell her about the creatures in Papua New Guinea.
You know, he was in a lot of places. And he didn't see it. Some of the men that were in his unit saw it on the side. And it wasn't just one. It was a family of them. It was a handful of them. And they were up on the side of the mountain. And they came back and was telling everybody that there are these big, furry, upright creatures walking around on the side of the mountain and looking down at them.
And that was in Papua New Guinea? Oh, you don't know where it actually happened?
No.
It just happened while he was in the army. He was, okay. Yeah, I know her granddad during the war crashed in Papua New Guinea. So I just assumed that's where the Bigfoot stories came from, but...
they were all along the Pacific.
The Big Pack.
Yeah, they were in the Big Pack. He was in New Guinea. They were in a whole bunch of different places.
Right. All kinds of islands.
But that's where he spent a good chunk of it.
And it was during the war that people told him that they saw these creatures.
Oh yeah, they were out there living in the tents, and then they didn't. Yeah.
See, what's crazy is there's these stories of the Bigfoot-like hominids just about all over the globe. May not be as tall or as girthy as our North American Bigfoot, especially the Rocky Mountain Bigfoot and the Pacific Northwest Bigfoot. They seem to be one of the bigger ones. Then you got the Siberian ones, and then the Yeti, and
yeah, the reason why he even told me about that is because I was excited that the Patty video was going to be on again. And every time it came on every year, I would make sure to watch it because it was scary and exciting, and we'd hide under our blankets and watch the video about it. And then he said, you know, there was a couple of my buddies in the war that saw a handful of them. And he said it was on the side of the mountain. Obviously it was kind of a jungle mountain. But they were up on a ridge, and they were doing a ruck hike, I guess, you know, where a bunch of them are out walking along the side of a mountain, and up on the side of the cliff on the other side of them is where they were looking down at them, and they were looking at them as well. They weren't hiding, they were just standing there looking at them. And I'm sure he told me exactly where that was at, but I can't recall the exact place where they saw them.
right. See, my grandpa I don't ever recall him telling me the exact lake they hiked back into that they had their Bigfoot sightings. I mean, it wasn't only my grandpa. There was 5 of them, him and his friends, that hiked back in to a lake at Mount St. Helens in the 30s, and they hiked back there every year, and they would backpack camp and fish and kind of live off the land. They didn't bring very much groceries. They would come later in the season when there was berries, so they would pick berries, catch fish, and so they brought minimal food on these things. And it was him and 3 of the other guys. There was only one in the entire group that didn't see the Bigfoot, but they saw 3 of them. And my grandfather estimated the largest one was about 8 foot, the next one 7, and then the other one was more his height. My grandpa's 6'3", and he says that the smallest one was more his height, except for just massive body, much bigger body than him or any of his buddies. But he was by himself when those three come up on him while he was fishing, and then after they left, after they'd taken some of his fish that he threw to him, he went looking for his buddies because he did not want to stay there any longer. Scared the crap out of him. And the buddies that were getting the berries, they had all seen the same 3 Bigfoot. I would guess there isn't 2 groups of 3 Bigfoot running around, so I'm just guessing they saw the same 3 he did, and they wanted to leave. And then there was another guy fishing just like he was. He's the only one that didn't see it, but because everybody was scared crapless and wanted to leave, you know, the other guy did not object at all. And they changed their annual fishing location after that. They quit coming to this favorite spot that they had been coming to for years every year because of that. But I don't know the name of the lake. There's lots of people that try to tell me, oh, it's Spirit Lake, but I thought Spirit Lake, back before the volcano blew, you could just drive right up to it. This is a lake that they had to, you know, they had to hike a day and a night to get into this lake that they like to camp at. So I don't think it was Spirit Lake. And because Mount St. Helens blew up, I doubt the flipping lake they went back to exists any longer anyway.
Never know.
Yeah. I don't know, I'll have to ask around the family. Maybe my dad or some of my uncles know the name of the lake.
When my grandpa was watching the Patty video with us, he said, well, I don't know about, he's like, how they were, the old video, well, it's not necessarily the old video. You know how they include the video in on all different documentaries and talk about it and whatnot, and
oh yeah,
and I was the one that we were watching. I was in elementary school, so that was a long time ago, and they were talking about how they were thinking that Bigfoot was this lone creature that, you know, was by itself all the time. But my grandpa was like, I don't think that's true, because when they saw it, it was a family unit.
Yeah, and that's how my grandpa saw a family unit.
He was trying to say, no, I don't think that they're a lone being like they're saying on this show. He said that our
experiences show that there's always more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when we
find multiple footprints, different size prints.
Yeah, usually when we find one set of footprints, we're finding more of different sizes. That seems to be more common than the rogue one set of footprints. If there's one, there's usually another or a couple more.
It's kind of cool looking. Old man of the forest.
My mom's husband, my stepdad, he was up on top of Monte Cristo, back on Curtis Creek, and the spring was called, do you remember what the spring was called?
Hell's Cat Spring.
Hellcat Springs. And he was camping there by himself, and he had a fire in his tent, and he just saw these huge red eyes standing there on the other side of his fire, just staring down at him.
Yeah,
creepy the hell.
He told me that they were 8, maybe 9 feet in the air. These set of eyes staring him down, having his campfire, and Reed doesn't scare very easily.
No, he's not afraid of anything, but that unnerved him.
Yeah.
That would creep you the hell out.
That kind of ruined his little camping, his lone camping
it
deal.
Ruined his little evening.
And you have to backpack to, you know, it's not like he could just run to his vehicle and take off. He had to backpack into this spring to camp, so he had no choice but to stay the night with whatever was back there with him.
It's a pretty good area up here. It's actually pretty thick. Even lots of white oaks up around here too.
Yeah, this forest is really thick through right here.
Yeah, it is.
I'm really thinking this side of the Mogollon Rim looks really nice to hike around in Bigfoot in.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have to study our maps and.
My family's a little different. I don't have anybody else in my family that has actually seen it, but my uncle Steve worked for a telecommunications company, out laying laying lines and stuff like that. And this actually happened up around West Fork of the Bear, up by Manorlands and stuff.
Oh yeah.
A crew that was up there had actually had a sighting of a Sasquatch up there, and I know him and a couple of his buddies back in their early 20s, their 20s, when this happened, which would have been early 60s. They ended up going out there searching for him after this had happened. I mean, it was right after it happened.
They searched for the Bigfoot after the sighting?
They went out there searching for him. They went out basically for 3 days just searching around. Never actually come across him, I mean, but it was just an experience that he had, that people close to him had seen, that was a part of his crew. I was working for like AT&T or something. I don't know exactly who it was, but that's where that happened. Just, it was kind of close to home, West Fork of the Bear.
That area, like Christmas Meadows, for example, which is right there in that area you're talking about, there's a history of spring Bigfoot sightings there and late fall Bigfoot sightings. As a matter of fact, a lot of the late fall Bigfoot sightings is when the people are buttoning up their cabin, using it for the last time of the year and winterizing it, and they get Bigfoot sightings up there on and near their properties. So it's a great time to be in the late fall, is up there near the Bear River Station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hike back on Christmas Meadows again. That's where Jenny and I found what we believe are grizzly tracks back there in Christmas Meadows a couple years ago. Up there looking for Bigfoot, and we found grizzly bear. So I think it's funny, all the grizzly bear and black bear footprints we've come across. I mean, we've seen the grizzly bear tracks up in Yellowstone and places like that, and we see black bear all the time. And then when we find a Bigfoot footprint, we'll sometimes get people say, well, is it a bear double stepping?
No.
There's a big difference. I don't know, it would be weird to me to see a bear double step, then leap to make a 70-inch stride, double step again, then leap. You know, can they do that?
I don't know.
That doesn't happen.
Yogi Bear screwing with us.
I actually think retired NBA players, you know, they're already rich. They don't need no more money. They just want to go out and screw with people. So they run around the forests barefoot and doing snap-offs and making structures, because, you know, after you retire from the NBA, that's what you want to do. You want to go fake Bigfoot. Yeah, I know there's a lot of NBA players that'll have feet just about as long as some of these Bigfoot tracks, these larger ones, but they're an NBA player's foot isn't going to be 7-8 inches wide.
In the heel.
Or up by the toes. People's feet are generally 4 inches wide, and I'm sure there's probably larger people that may have a 5-inch wide Bigfoot, but you're never gonna see a person with 7-8 inch wide.
Oh, it's a good, vast area. Wow, it's a good looking picture. Just a good sight, just in general.
Yeah.
Big forest.
Today's the first day I've seen quail. I've seen quail on this side of the mountain.
Last night we had elk walk right through our camp.
Yeah. A herd.
Yeah, they were thick last night. And then an hour or two after the elk come through, something howling on the mountain.
Yeah, not sure what that was.
You got to tell them what it sounded like, Jen.
Sounds ridiculous.
A ridiculous howl.
No, I said I sound ridiculous.
No, I
Oh,
didn't
just
say
describe it.
imitate it. What did you tell me it sounded like?
It sounded like American Werewolf in London.
There you go. Good enough, right?
Yeah, it sounded like a howling.
That's a pretty distinct sound. I mean, I knew exactly. I could hear it the moment you said it.
Yeah, it sounded like a scream and a howl at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know if it was the Mogollon Monster or some other animal, but that's the sound that happened a couple hours after the elk come through.
Yeah.
About 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Set those stupid dogs off. They're barking.
Yeah, made the dogs go crazy.
Not our dogs, somebody else.
Somebody else up
Up a
camping
ways.
back in there, yeah. Actually, I've noticed the dogs about the same time every night freaking out. Have you guys noticed that all week?
Yeah, they were going off pretty hardcore last night.
Yeah, it's about the same time every night. I don't know, I was thinking, I mean, it was weird. The elk come through, and then it's been a couple hours since they come through. I mean, are the dogs barking at the elk? Why didn't they bark at the elk when we...
Yeah, they
and trip out when the elk were there? So it's something else, I think, that's getting them going.
Yeah, they didn't bark at the elk.
I think they're used to the elk. Kyle, and then you look on this side, it tells you we're right in the middle of this forest, this whole wilderness.
Massive wilderness area.
Yeah, there's
Massive all the way around us.
There's nothing for miles. This road goes straight through the middle of the forest.
I'm gonna turn the camera over that way for these guys so they
Stop. You got rid of half of it behind this tree right here.
can. Derek's never happy,
I'm not.
by the way. Trying to give you guys a good view.
And what you're seeing, if just on the opposite side, it's just as far, just as vast.
They can't see.
You can't see.
Well, no, they saw earlier. I held it over there for a minute.
No, I mean, I was looking through the viewfinder. I don't think they can see past the trees.
You're looking at a little 2 and 3 inch viewfinder.
Yeah, it's going to be blown up. Somebody looking at it on full screen.
Yeah.
It's beautiful country.
Ooh, washboard.
I don't like washboard.
Not at all. Yeah, Jenny went off a cliff because of washboard. She wasn't driving. Her date was driving, and they hit some washboard coming down Farmington Canyon, and he lost control, and the car just kind of bounced off the side of a cliff. And luckily some trees jutting out from the cliff caught and cradled the car, the upside down car, and I'm sure not very many viewers know of Farmington Canyon, Utah. I know a few of you do, but you drive up there and look off the edge of that cliff. There really isn't that many trees, so it's like a miracle. The few trees that jut out from that cliff, they actually landed on.
You do not want to go off that. Period.
Yeah, I did.
Did you break a bone on that?
No, I didn't break anything. I had the weirdest out of body experience. Right as we slid off the edge and the car started to roll, I just totally relaxed. I thought I was just gonna die, and so I just relaxed, and I was like,
just
okay,
knew it was coming.
Yeah,
huh?
this is the end. And then the car was rolling, and you could hear the glass popping and the metal crunching, and then the car just stopped, and it was kind of bouncing and swaying, but we couldn't see anything because it was really dark.
So you guys had no idea that you were cradled in some trees?
No. I didn't find out that until they went back up the next day to pull the car off the side of the cliff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But we landed on the roof of the car, and we opened up one of the doors and crawled out onto the bottom of the car, and then crawled up the mountain up onto the road.
Crazy.
But luckily, there was like 3 cars, and we were one of them. So there was another car there to drive us down.
People to help you get up off of your turned upside down car,
Yeah.
and then to drive you off the.
Yeah, one of our buddies crawled down on the bottom of the car and was helping us get out of the door.
You're lucky to still be here today. Holy crap.
Absolutely.
People just don't survive going off of Farmington Canyon.
But I didn't really hurt myself.
That's water. That was a spring right back there.
Oh yeah, there was. It didn't hurt me like breaking bones or something. My leg hurt a little bit, and I don't remember. I mean, obviously I was flying around inside the car because I didn't have a seatbelt on. Neither of us did. And
so lucky.
and I was a little sore the next day or whatever, but when you're
17.
no, I was 16, so when 16 years old, you're pretty much rubber,
Bounce back.
Yeah, you bounce back really quick.
Mm-hmm. You're sore for one day and shake it off.
Yeah, he didn't get hurt either.
Gosh, so many things could have killed you guys on that, or being flung from the car, or the car crushing you, and just amazing, or just plummeting to your death off that cliff.
Yeah, we were lucky.
Yeah, you could have rolled down couple thousand feet.
His car
easily
wasn't
off
lucky.
That's a scary drive.
Absolutely. In fact, Shelly would never let me drive it. She didn't ever want to go up it. I'm like, really? I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, you just got to take your time, but...
Maybe she heard about Jenny's story.
Yeah, she just never liked it. Never liked driving up it. It scared her.
I think I might even have been 15. I don't know. Right
Young.
there. Yep, I was really young.
Whatever it is, too young to die.
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school. But
I still feel too young to die, dang it. I still got a lot of living.
Well, it made me really wary of cliff faces after that. Like when we would be driving along a dirt road and there was an edge, I would get really uptight. I'm pretty much over that now, but it took a really long time.
We're pretty much smack dab right in the middle of this Mogollon wilderness area, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
Right in the middle of it all. So, in essence, we're surrounded by Bigfoot sighting locations.
Yeah.
That's what we like to do. We like to put ourselves right in the middle of where everything goes down and see if we can get lucky. Yeah, we've been on 3 really good hikes into Bigfoot sighting areas, and we'll put out those videos. If not, they're already out there by the time you watch this. You guys will have to watch some of our hikes we call expedition videos, and then we'll put on location sighting report videos, the sighting reports that bring us into the area. And then we always do a few driving roundtables. You guys might as well hear our conversations from point A to point B, and that chance to see a road crossing Bigfoot that we always hoped for.
You get to see the area we're in.
Yeah, a bigger chunk of the area than you normally would.
Cactus, prickly pear still up here. Aloe vera. They're up here on top. What elevation we at?
Right now we're at 6,000, but we just came off that summit back there that was 72.
Okay.
Not as high as if we were at home, but pretty high.
It's getting dark.
Yeah.
When we go Bigfooting, we rarely make it back to base camp before nightfall. In a whole week, we've made it back once by nightfall, and it's usually we don't get back until about 2 hours after nightfall. We pretty much use up every inch of the day searching for Bigfoot.
And then depending on how far we are from camp is how late we get back.
Yeah, we usually start heading back after dark, so if we're getting back 2 hours after dark.
We are 2 hours from camp.
Mm-hmm. We found some pretty cool structures on this expedition, and we've found about 7 or 8 footprints in 3 different locations.
I was at one with the ground.
Derek took a spill yesterday.
Probably could have saved himself if he wasn't trying to save his camera.
Yeah.
But because he's trying to save the camera, he took the punishment.
I'm feeling it. Do it again.
Apologize about all the bugs, but we have to look through it too.
Man, this is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think kids nowadays call it immersive.
What?
Immersive. Making them feel like they're there, a part of it all.
Oh.
bugs between your teeth. Alright, that was a little overboard, but whatever.
I remember when we were kids, the way you knew where all your friends were is all their bicycles out in front of whoever's yard.
Yeah.
I don't see that anymore in the world of cell phones and stuff, too. Kids still get together and ride bikes and over to one buddy's house. And I don't know. That's just how I could tell where all my friends were.
I always knew where my friends were because I was always in the middle of them all.
Yup.
I don't know. I was grounded a lot.
That's because you were naughty. Yeah, I was a pushover. I'd ground my kids for a month and it would last a couple of days. But man, my parents, when they would ground me, when they would come down with a ruling of a month, 2 months, whatever the heck it was.
Get stuck.
Yeah, there was no getting off early on good behavior or anything like that. It stuck. I was kind of a pushover with my kids because I don't know. It felt like a punishment to me to ground them because I enjoyed doing things with my kids. So it'd be like, you want to come with me here? Blah blah. Well, I thought I was grounded. I'm like, well, I'm letting you off. Come on.
You're grounded from your friends, not me.
That's right. Wow, this place is just beautiful. I wonder what the acreage in comparison to the UN is to this.
I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that fact. That'd be something fun to compare so we can kind of fathom. Is it the same size as the UN is? Is it twice as big? 8 times as big? Or vice versa?
Well, there's like 3 of them stuck together up here. There's Tonto and what's the
Coquino or something like that.
Cochino or
Something to the.
I think it's Coquino, something like that. Someone's gonna correct this.
Oh yeah. And then there's one more. Cocochino.
I don't think it's Chino.
Oh, Coconino.
I was close.
Yeah.
A lot of wilderness areas.
Yeah.
Sign the shit out of this too.
This is neat. Did he stay there?
Yeah, he didn't fly away. We really are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
I do recognize some of the landmarks, but like that mesa over there, I'm used to looking up at it, not down at it. And we're from a completely different angle.
And on the other side.
Mm-hmm. This isn't a very highly traveled road. We haven't hardly seen very many people up here.
Probably young. Coming up.
Yeah. Out in the distance.
Yeah.
Right on, we're getting close to the end of this dirt road Roundtable drive. We're looking down upon the town of Young. We've been here a week and I've not seen any of those javelinas. I'm really starting to think they don't exist.
Oh, they do.
No.
I saw their footprints.
I have to see one to believe it. I've saw Bigfoot footprints too. We still didn't see a Bigfoot. Ran into people on this week that's like, oh my gosh, you guys just barely missed the javelinas. It's like, what? Really? I'd prefer to run into someone that say, oh my gosh, we just saw a Bigfoot. He ran right up there.
Well.
You know?
National Forest, Pleasant Valley.
That's the valley we're looking down on.
Just kind of throw it out there just in case. Keep your eyes peeled. Might see some lights in the skies and some aliens too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're really close to Heber, Arizona.
It's Snowflake.
Yep.
And that's, we actually went through there yesterday. And that's where,
Fire in the Sky.
the movie Fire in the Sky is based upon that story about the guy getting abducted by the spaceship and disappearing for a little bit.
For a week. It was a week.
Oh, that's horrible.
And then after a week, he showed up in Heber.
All natural.
All natural.
Yep, supposedly his buddies saw him get sucked up in the lights of the spaceship. And
That's roadkill. Duel.
Gross.
That's what that bird was just... Raven was after.
Yeah, they didn't... I don't remember if they actually saw a craft or they just saw the light. Like the fire in the sky.
well, when you watch the show, it's a spaceship hovering right there, and he walks into the beam of light underneath it. Well, the rest of his buddies stay away, and he gets like beamed up, and then they bail because, of course, I'm sure none of them wanted to get beamed up.
I've never read the real account, so I'm not sure. But I know that that's where it happened.
Yeah, it happened outside of Snowflake, and then he all of a sudden shows up in Heber naked and afraid.
Naked and afraid.
Yep. He had something to be afraid of, though.
That's right.
They shoved needles in his eye, and I don't know.
And other things.
Other creepy things that aliens do to you when they take you. I'd rather be abducted by Sasquatch. Oh, that's horrible. I do know that Osterman guy, when he escaped those Bigfoot, he was kind of like wondering, are they gonna keep me and eat me? Am I a pet? You know, he wasn't sure what their intentions with him were, but he just wanted to get away. Of course we wouldn't.
That's true.
However, me, if Bigfoot abducts me, I'm gonna live with Squatch for a while. Alright, well, we're back to pavement. That's our dirt road drive. We're back to civilization, as you can see. Someone just passed us. If we see anything Bigfooty, we'll certainly let you know. Keep on watching. We're gonna keep on squatching. Whoop whoop.